Here's a fun bleed team consisting of Vodenoy, Sutsune, and Aquatic. The core combo here is Bleed Out and Double Splatter. Splatter stacks with itself, as it is not a unique aura, allowing all bleed stacks to transfer to other enemies upon death. What this effectively means is, whenever we apply bleed, it will linger on some enemy or another for the entire battle, so long as Sutsune and Vodenoy are alive, allowing our damage output to snowball out of control in 6v6 keeper battles. In the video behind, pay attention to the bleed stacks accumulating every turn on the enemy team. While we're at it, let's pile on more multipliers that interact with bleed. We have Double Scent of Blood for 20% damage, Lord of the Deep for 20% damage, and Deep Wounds for 40% damage. We usually need critical hits in order to apply bleed, so we max that out with 3 instances of the Hunt Aura and Aquatic Predator. Now, all this is only good if our team stays alive, which is why we are using the light shifted Aquatic as our primary attacker. Between Lifelink and Sutsune's Feast, our whole team will end every turn on maximum health. The big issue is if any of our monsters suffer more than 1 health bar's worth of damage in a single turn, in between our Lifelink and Feast triggers. Hence, Vodenoy in this team is the dedicated tank, using full protect almost every turn to redirect attacks. Sutsune plays a supportive role. The main function of Mass Restore is actually to remove debuffs and negative stacks, which would otherwise overwhelm the team. We are gonna hover over the bleed stack here. 9,813 bleed damage incoming. Yep, that is perfectly well and normal for this team. Now, even though Vodenoy is the dedicated tank for this team, it has some phenomenal stat boosting skills that scale its attack up based on its defense and HP, hitting as much as 1,000 attack stat while still having stellar defenses. This powerful stat scaling works best when wearing equipment that gives tons of raw stats such as Grey Pearl, which requires us to stay unshifted. Vodenoy's offensive power is not all wasted, since it has an innate ability counter-attack. You'll notice that every time an enemy attacks Vodenoy, it takes a sizable hit itself, one that is subject to high crit rate and bleed too. I'd say it's unconventional to see Sutsune built for a supportive role, given its high offensive stats. But as you can see, Aquatic has no trouble at all dealing damage. What we need on this team is utility. Besides purging debuffs, we can also purge buffs from the enemy team. Cleansing Fire can help bring an overly buffed enemy down to size. In the long run, granting the whole party's sidekick is great, since every sidekick hit purges enemy buffs. All our offensive power is concentrated on Aquatic, who deals physical damage. Thus, enemies who resist physical damage is our Achilles heel in theory. But in practice, I find this is not much of an issue because of the bleed mechanic. Enemies cannot resist bleed stacks, so we just need to smack other monsters who don't resist physical damage. When they perish, their bleed stacks spill over to the monsters that resist physical damage, who will then perish too. If the enemy team leads with 3 monsters that resist physical damage, such as an occult team for example, then yes, our team will probably struggle. In this particular battle here, the one monster that resists physical damage is the Spectre, the skeleton. So you'll notice how I casually let it just sit on the battlefield while wiping out its allies. Between the bleed stacks that slowly accumulate, as well as the super effective congeal damage, the Spectre eventually takes enough damage to perish. Our team being centered around aquatic creatures also opens another weakness in air attacks. That's one reason why I chose Sutsune over another aquatic monster that could have benefited from the aquatic auras. Most aquatic creatures are weak to air, so the whole team ends up being particularly vulnerable to air and shock-based teams. Most of the time we are attacking with Ice Spears on Aquatic, as it deals the most damage to the enemy party as a whole. However, if there's a particular enemy that uses strong air attacks, I would consider focusing them down using claws and removing them from the field as soon as possible. You will observe this tactic come into play right now, as I choose to focus down the icy blob using claws rather than have it resist my usual icicle spears. I felt that the icy blob would threaten my entire team with the same chill and congeal strategy, which does severe damage across the board and leaves me with too little mana to recover, so it had to go at all costs. Speaking of the congeal strategy, in the unfortunate event that any of my monsters faint, I have my mid-game party of 3 waiting in the back. Ninki Nanka for healing and debuff removal, Dracozool for massive shielding, and Imori with Congeal and Icicle Spears. We can thus seamlessly pass the baton. Ninki Nanka and Dracozool can substitute in for the tank or support role, while Imori switches in as the offensive piece if Aquatic faints. Perhaps in the future I'll make a video that covers this mid-game party. So called because you can actually hatch these monsters in the mid-game. Ninki Nanka, Dracozool, and Imori. And this particular party carried me through my very first playthrough of the game, all the way to the final boss. Anyway, here you see me use the full heal ultimate on Sutsune. I chose the ultimate because I envision Sutsune as a support monster, but honestly I don't know if that's the right choice. You could probably make an argument for any of the other ultimates, but at the end of the day I don't think it matters much since you will be using Mass Restore for the majority of turns anyway. Well, that's all I have to say about this party. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll just let the rest of this battle play out.